Right. Okay, I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear us. We are live, I believe, after much faffing around. Huge apologies for that. Yay! Fantastic. That's good. I'm getting reaction. We are live. So I'm so sorry about that. As you can tell, it's me, El Fozzie, again. As you know, I'm not a video genius. Sadly, we don't have the lovely Aston anymore at the moment. He's moved back to a proper job. And Joe can do today. So we are stuck with me having to relearn how to make this all work again. But fortunately, you don't have to put up with my crazy... sorry, I didn't say a bad word. That's nonsense. That must have been a glitch in the machine, Sam. You don't have to put up with my knowledge. You have the wonderful Neale Rigg, who's been waiting very patiently while I've been faffing about for the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. So, Neale, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Good evening, Chris. Not good afternoon.
It was afternoon we started.
To be fair to you, we weren't going to do this week, or Joe hadn't planned to do anything, so thanks for stepping in. We've got a slightly truncated video, which probably helps this week because it's only 16 teams instead of 20. But we do have, and we might start for this before we get into Gameweek 25, a Rashford update.
No! Leave it to the end. Leave it to the end.
Oh, should we leave it to the end? Have you got it planned already?
I've done a slide. I've done a slide and everything.
God, you're better than I thought, yeah.
So we'll come back to Rashford because it doesn't really matter for this game week, does it? But we will come back to that later on. So, we've done this in game order, I think. Bear with us, hopefully this goes well. We're going to kick off with Fulham against Wolves. Tell us what's going on. And obviously it says Aston Villa at the top because not everything's gone particularly well. But tell us what happened at Fulham that wasn't Aston Villa.
Yes, yeah, so it's a big one tonight in terms of Mitrovic. So this was a press conference that Silva delivered yesterday, and now bear in mind that he's been a bit tricky with Mitrovic updates in the past where he's declared him likely to play 1 week and then he hasn't, and then vice versa. But these are his quotes anyway. He said it would be difficult for Mitrovic to play. He said they've got more time until tomorrow, which of course is today, and he's been on the pitch already, he's been outside. So let's see what the news will be for tomorrow. Now, we did see a video of the Fulham training camp in midweek, and Mitrovic was there, but he was not pictured doing teamwork. He was doing, we think, individual work on the grass, a bit of rehab. So there is obvious concern about his availability for tonight. Given that it's a Friday kickoff and it's the first game of the game week, there's always hope that there might be an early team sheet release, perhaps closer towards the deadline. But based on Silva's comments and taking him at his word, if we can do that, then it doesn't sound too good. That's, of course, backed up by the lack of him in team training. So he's 50% flagged for a reason, and I'm considering shipping him. I'll be tuning into the social media channels later this evening to see if there's any early release, but I can't tell you for sure either way whether he's in or out. He's not in my predicted lineup, by the way, I should point out. Apart from that, Fulham's pretty much injury-free. Just Kearney and Cabana, who's the long-term ones. And it's a similar situation for Wolves. Again, the ones that we already knew about. So that's Hwang, Traore, Chiquinho.
Oh. I think Neale might have frozen then. With Neale is temporarily frozen. I have turned my mic down now, so I hope that I'm not as loud anyway. And now Neale's frozen. That's not on me. I'm just going to kind of connect with him. Are you back, Neale?
I am.
I lost you for a second there. Can we just check? We can just check my mic's better now. I've tried to turn it down. Is that okay? I know I'm quite naturally loud. It's a no sound now. You can hear me. I'm way too loud now. This is it. Too big, too little. How about now? Is this better? Yeah, I know it happens a lot. Wilderness Kid. I literally have a £270 microphone here, which I've been trying to set up today, but it's not playing ball. Anyway, up a bit. You good? I'm not important anyway. You don't need to hear me. Continue. So Wolves. Continue with Wolves. Is that better?
Yeah,
fantastic.
Nothing new on the Wolves front. Just the four that were long term. Lamina's back from suspension.
Okay, well, that was short, wasn't it? We're moving on. So, Fulham, obviously, Fulham news, Mitrovic's big news for people trying to get 11 players out who've had him in the side. So, good news for Pereira, of course, if there's penalties in that game.
Yeah.
Moving on to Everton against Aston Villa with the correct Aston Villa content. So, what do we need to hear about Everton? What's Sean Dyche got to say?
Yeah, it looks like Calvert-Lewin's going to struggle to play any part in Gameweek 25, which of course is a double for Everton. He's not been involved in team training yet, and very unlikely to face Villa at the very least. So he's probably out. Same with Townsend, who's long term. Onana's fit, so he's been past fit after the knee bother that he's had recently. Patterson, who's probably the main attraction from an FPL perspective, and Garner, they've been back in training for the last fortnight, I think. Got minutes with the under-21s last Friday, which is good. However, Patterson aggravated a knee issue. I think it's just a minor thing, and that's prevented him from training this week. I mean, I doubt whether he'd get in this side anyway, regardless of fitness, because Dyche likes to stick to a settled setup when things are going very well, and they are. So I would not.
I mean, as an Everton fan, while you pause there, I can attest there's very little chance of Patterson starting.
Probably unlikely to feature.
Yeah, I think as an Everton fan, I was just saying there's little chance of Patterson starting. I think Dyche will stick to his. I can imagine Tarkowski's a man we've all kind of considered bringing in or have brought in already. So yeah, he'll be playing, we hope. So onwards to Leicester versus Arsenal. First, the double game weekers.
Yes, second with Everton, of course. Leicester. They were another press conference that was held yesterday. Maddison's a bit of a concern. He's got a knee niggle. This is an ongoing thing. It's nothing new, but he's going to have that assessed. It's a week-to-week thing. I think Roger said last week that he only trained about 2 or 3 days before the game, so it's an ongoing concern. Apart from that, it's pretty good news. Justin's long-term. Evans is not quite ready. Thigh problem, but might return to training next week. But apart from that, pretty much injury-free. Tielemans is fine. Bertrand's even back in training after 14 months out, and just match fitness with him.
The low hissing is mainly the snakes that I keep next to my office. Always, you can never be too careful. I will, if I do more videos, which is unlikely, I will try and get this fancy new mic, which I was persuaded to buy to work. So yeah, I'll come on to so that's Leicester and Arsenal.
Yeah, I need to tackle Arsenal next.
Sorry. I thought you were segueing through. I was too busy reading the comments people giving me grief.
That's fine. Arsenal, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much as you were. So El Nenny's out long term. Jesus is back on the grass. He has been for a while, but I think this is going to be too soon again. Arteta was talking in terms of him just doing more individual grass work and then building that load up on his knee. Partey might be back, but again, he's not done much training, so probably more of a chance for that second game week 25 fixture against Everton. It might be Jorginho again against Leicester. Apart from that, I think they're pretty much injury free.
Apparently, we missed Villa because I'm not as averse to doing this as other people, so I'm gonna skip back to Villa because we do care about Villa, of course, and improving form at the moment. So. Yeah. Thank you, fans. And I apologise if there was an F-bomb dropped earlier. I do apologise. So that'll be entirely my fault. Neale's far too nice to do that. That's after 2.5 hours of stressing around trying to make. I will give a shout out to anybody that does this full time. Oh my God, there's a lot of work that goes into this. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but my goodness me, this has been a challenge. Anyway, on to Villa.
Yeah, well, probably the reason I forgot about it because there's nothing to report really. There's only Diego Carlos who's flagged, and even he's back in training. So he's had an Achilles injury. He's been out for quite a long time, but he's possibly getting minutes tonight in the under-21 match. So he's the only Villa player who's going to miss out probably this weekend. Cool.
All right, we'll skip ahead then to Leeds versus Southampton. We've got 2 little updates on the Leeds on the Scout tweets. So I tried to cram them both in.
Yeah, not. We were spoiled with Bielsa and we were spoiled with Marsh in terms of openness of manager. We're not going to get that with Gracia, I don't think. He's given little away today. All he would say was that there was some players are injured and he preferred not to talk about it beyond that. So we're a bit in the dark. I mean, we know that Dallas is out and Rodrigo and probably Forshaw as well. Sinister likely to, and I think Max Wober came off with a shoulder injury last weekend. That looks a bit nasty, but again, we're in light of in lieu of an update, we're assuming he misses out. Rocker could be back. He was touch and go for last weekend. Strauch should be fine as well. He had concussion. He should have been back last week, but he complained of fogginess in training, so they sat him out for last weekend as well. But he could be back for this one. And Cooper 2. So yeah, nothing new to bring in because of the new Leeds boss's reluctance to divulge anything.
That's annoying, isn't it?
Yes, very.
I had someone talk to me today about the Southampton and Leeds bosses, and they said that one of them had dressed as he was going to get the job, and the other one looked slightly more apologetic. So I'll let you decide which was which. And Southampton, what's going on with the Saints? A good result last week.
I mean, you expect to be similar lineup again to last weekend because of the Chelsea win. Injury-wise, Livramento and Larios still out. Orsic has joined them because he's got concussion. And Shea Adams is still out as well. He was absent last weekend, but he hasn't recovered. So it's those 4 out, and everyone else is fine.
Fantastic. So let's keep clicking along. I really appreciate the bants, actually. So thanks for that, guys, in the chat. I think I've had some really funny ones. Old Harry Potter generally made me laugh out loud, and then there was shaved Brian Blessed, which also I kind of really think I'm getting the Brian Blessed shape these days. But yeah. Anyway, on to West Ham and Mr. Moyes.
Yeah, so again, looking pretty good because everyone is back in training. There's nobody in the treatment room per se. However, there's 3 players who are flagged for match fitness. Zuma, Paqueta and Corney are the 3 in question. They have all returned to training after injuries of varying lengths. Corney has been out for like 5 months, so you wouldn't expect him to feature, at least not from the start. Paqueta's been out for 2 weeks, so that's less, but he's only partly trained, so there's doubts over him. Zuma's probably got the best chance of starting, I think, because he has been out for a month, but he has been in training this week, and he was fast-tracked back into the starting 11 last time he came back from injury. So of the 3, I think he stands the best chance. But otherwise, again, injury-free. Cool.
And over at Forest, also had a good result last week. So
yes, a certain Mr. Suddens will be very happy about that. They're the complete opposite of injury-free. They're probably the quick if I tell you the players who are fit. So the ones who are out definitely are Bolly, McKenna, Henderson, Kouyaté, Awani, Biancone and Richards. Ori has joined them as well now. He's out for at least 2 weeks, probably more. Which is good news for Nico Williams, by the way, because he'll come in for him. Niakate, with things not ready either. He's been back on the grass, but I think minutes with the under-21s is likely first. Better news elsewhere with Lingard and Yates being back in training this week. So Lingard's had knee and Achilles niggles. He hasn't been out for long. And Yates has been out with an illness, but he's been back in training for a good, I think, week or 10 days. So we'd expect to see both of those in the squad, if not the match day 11.
Sorry. I'm loving the bants. Just to say, we have over 1,000 people watching. Really grateful for the attention. Thanks a lot, guys. Only 100 likes. So, if you want me to come and do this again, some people seem to be enjoying it, please like the stream. If you don't want me to come and do it again, please like the stream. And either way, hopefully we'll get more likes. And cool. Moving on, on to Bournemouth against Man City. What's going on with Bournemouth?
Yeah, they've had a fresh injury that happened last weekend. Tavernier is out now. He'll join a cluster of players who are already out, and that is Lewis Cook, David Brooks, Lloyd Kelly, and Zabani, who's a new signing in January. So that's 5 players out. There wasn't any mention of Zamora or Lerma, who were both flagged. They both came off last weekend. Lerma with an illness, and Zamora, we think, with a knock, but given that they weren't mentioned, we assume they're fine. And I think Zamora has been pictured in training since then. So it could be just those 5 red flag players who are out. Okie
dokie. And obviously everyone's favourite selection game is Pep Roulette. So what's happening with over at City? Is it more Bernardo Silva at left back? Are we gonna
It could be. It could be, yeah. I mean, the one thing is that, and we'll come on to this in a second, is the quick turnaround time between games. Now, injury-wise, or illness-wise, certainly, Laporte and Stones look like they're going to miss out. Pep was uncharacteristically helpful, actually, today. He said that Laporte wasn't expected in training today, and Stones was only going to partly train, so he said they were both unlikely to feature at Bournemouth. De Bruyne is a maybe, and that was Pep's prognosis, not mine. He said he might return to training today, but I think he's been out of training for about 3 or 4 days. And he was even struggling last weekend against Forest, apparently. So he might take this opportunity to, even if he does make the squad, not include him in the starting 11. Beyond that, there's the threat of rotation for sure, because Pep was talking about fatigue. So this Bournemouth game falls less than, I think, 72 hours after the trip to Leipzig.
Which he didn't make a single transfer, substitution, right? There was no subs or hardly.
That's right. Yeah. And
weird to complain about fatigue when you don't use a squad.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and not only that, he's done this quite a few times before. Actually, not used a sub. 8 players have started 3 matches already in the last fortnight. They are Edison, Walker, Diaz, Bernardo, Rodri, Gundogan, Grealish, and Haaland. So, if we were looking at places where rotation might happen, then some of those names might be affected, particularly when you got Foden fresh. Akanji and Aki haven't featured that much over the last fortnight, so they could be back in here. I've gone with Alvarez coming in as well for De Bruyne in the predicted lineup. So yeah, Bernardo could be one of those who drops out with Lewis coming in at left back. But certainly a bit of uncertainty this week. The one possible saving grace is that they've got an FA Cup match in midweek on Tuesday, so Pep might choose to rest a few players then against Bristol City instead. But yeah, that 72-hour turnaround time is a worry, I think. Yep,
okie dokie. Let's move on to Crystal Palace against Liverpool. So Palace, they're slipping down the table quietly. They need a result. This is the first Liverpool's doubles, of course. What are Palace going to bring?
Well, they might bring Zaha with them, which is he hasn't been seen for about a month now, but he's been back in training today. Vieira says they're going to assess him later to see if there's any reaction to his injury. Ward could be back as well. He's been in training, or was certainly earmarked for return. Mitchell could be fit. He came off last weekend, but seems to have shaken that off. Even Nathan Ferguson, who we haven't barely seen for the best part of 2 years, he got minutes with the under-21s on I think it was Monday. So I don't expect him to be featuring anytime soon, but he's injury-free anyway. I think that only leaves Sam Johnston on the injury list, and he's a backup keeper anyway. So the first teamers are all sort of slowly returning.
Okie dokie. And over to Liverpool, again, first of their doubles this week. What we expect, they had an interesting match during midweek.
Yeah.
One of the most, as an Everton fan, I must say, was the most entertaining game I've seen for a while. But it they looked great at the start, and then it all kind of fell away. So what have we learnt from that?
Well, we learned that people rushing to take -4, -8 hits for Liverpool defenders might be feeling shortchanged by the time the game week's out. But I'll be probably doing the same thing, regardless of the 5 concessions on Tuesday. Injury-wise, I think it's as you were with regards to Thiago, Diaz, and Ramsey. Gomez, we think's joined him as well on the injury list. Now he came off against Madrid with we assume was a muscle injury because he was straight down the tunnel, I think. There was no word of it today in Klopp's presser, however. Klopp did acknowledge there was a problem after Tuesday's game. Or was it Wednesday's game? Whenever it was. And there is reports in the media that he's going to struggle to make this one. Konate is back in training to sort of alleviate the problems at centre-half, but he's only training for 2 days after a month out. So I think likely to see him, if at all, in that second double game week fixture, which is against Wolves, isn't it, on Wednesday. So there was more quotes beyond injuries, and that was on rotation. So these are even more applicable to fantasy managers, really. He's basically promising to make some changes for this, which is a bit of a worry if you're bringing the likes of Darwin and Gakpo and Trent in. So the first thing he said was that there was a few knocks after Madrid, didn't mention names, but he said we will make changes and that we have to make changes because of the quick turnarounds. Later was asked about whether it would be hard for Jota and Firmino to come back into the side. And he said it's not hard because we've got too many games to make it hard. So he is basically saying there that they can't play with Gakpo, Darwin and Salah every game, which we knew that was going to be the case. But he's just, firmed that thinking up.
That's a worry. That's a worry for us all trying to bringing in.
Yeah, I mean, logic would say that Salah's arguably the more secure of the two, but then again, he's just had 90 minutes, whereas Gakpo and Darwin were hooked, I think, on the hour against Madrid. So yeah, just be a little bit cautious when you you're bringing in Liverpool players in, or at least more realistic expectations, I think, in terms of minutes. Either way, I mean, they're still going to get, you'd think, about 120 minutes as a minimum across the two games. So
ideally 60 exactly each would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so that's that's more than a single game week, especially the blank game week as we'll get. So just temper your expectations in terms of minutes, I think, for Liverpool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of people taking big hits to bring in Liverpool assets. Could be a bit of a, I mean, I'm probably going to be amongst them, but it could be a bit of a disaster. Just to say, we've got over 200 likes now, so if you are enjoying this, please do add to that. To like the stream, there's 1,200 odd people watching at the moment. Thanks for joining us, and please do like the stream if you like me. Maybe like Neale because he's doing all the real work here. But anyway, let's move right along to the final of the first round of games, which is Tottenham versus Chelsea. So. What's going on with Spurs? You never know, do you?
No, I mean, you never know who's going to be in charge either, because Conte is still recuperating in Italy, so it looks like Stellini's going to be in the dugout again. Injury-wise, pretty quiet because it's just the same four, and that's Sessegnon, Bentancur, Lloris and Bissouma. They're all medium to long term. There was a quote on Son. He was benched last weekend, came on and scored against West Ham, but Stellini was discussing that today, and he said it was about the condition of the player rather than form. Son had a problem with him that he brought with him for some time, and Richarlison was 100%. So that decision might be reversed this weekend because Richarlison wasn't great, and then Son came off, looked a bit more sprightly, and then, as I said, scored off the bench as well. So you might see a reversion of the usual front three here.
Cool. And then to round up is Chelsea. Potter's. It's not going especially well, certainly up front at the moment. What do you think? Is he going to shuffle a dice? Has he got some cards missing from his pack, etc., etc.?
Yeah, he's got a few cards missing, and they are four that we already knew about. So Pulisic, Kanté, Broja, and Mendy. Pulisic and Kanté are nearly fit. Aspilicueta's joined him, of course. He had that nasty kick to the head last weekend, was hospitalised, but he's all right anyway. He's just got to go through the protocols now. So those five are red flag. Everyone else is fit, and I do think there's no doubt about it. Potter's going to bring back the big guns for this one because he rotated last weekend, rested a few players with accumulated minutes in mind, and that backfired against Southampton, and they got beat. So there's no doubt. I think that James is going to return for this one. Thiago as well. Havertz probably up top. Sterling came off the bench last week and looked good, so I think he might be in for this. So it'll be as full strength as he can go for the Spurs game.
Cool. We've got two bonus slides now because I'm trying to make the most of your time here. So see if this works or not. Is it going to appear? Is it going to appear the window? Oh, it's probably not. Anyway, did have a window that was going to appear, which is the Scout site, but I don't think that. I think that's gone amiss now. But I was going to ask, really, the point of this was to ask about the there it is, was to ask about the predictions for the second of the doubles. If there's anything you can share from all the work we're doing, you're doing, when people are obviously, this first match matters, but people are obviously, they're very much focused on who to get in and etc. So what's obviously team news? We have our predicted lineups. Which is I was slowly getting through to, but that's always one worth watching. But you don't predict the two lineups in a row, do you?
That's true. Yeah, that's really true. That's a valid point. What I would say, I would hark back to my Liverpool comments for them, and that you're going to see rotation, I think, over those two games, particularly as there's a Man United game at the back end of it as well. That game week 26, they're playing United, so I think there will be changes across that, and I think you'll be lucky to see 180 minutes of anybody. But I mean, even Van Dijk, who's normally nailed. Klopp was saying today that he's had a lengthy period out, or longish period, and he's just been thrust straight back into it. Everton are the opposite. I think you pretty much you're going to guarantee two start off your players there, unless there's an injury or a complete debacle. With the exception of maybe the striker, and there's a bit of uncertainty there because Calvert-Lewin's been injured. And he's tried Sims, he's tried Maupay last week. Gray's come on, I think, briefly. In the
you don't want to disappoint all the Maupay owners out there. There's a lot of people piling in this week, I think. So
that's the one spot you would say is a bit in doubt, I think, because he did play last weekend in the win over Leeds, and he did all right, but he's not a Dyson forward. He's not got the requisite height or the holder player really. He's sort of a bit of a terrier Maupay. Probably plays better with someone alongside him. And there's a sort of slim chance that Dyche would go to a 4-4-2 because that was what he usually played at Burnley. But that would mean sacrificing one of probably Doucouré, Gay or Nana.
Yeah, that's just really working at the moment at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that. Yeah. So I think polar opposites in terms of team news predictions on the Merseyside teams. Wolves, I think.
Scrolling through, giving people.
They're a bit, Bueno, you're going to be lucky to get 2 starts out of him, and he's the main buy, I think, for fantasy managers. I think there's a weird contradiction in that Aït-Nouri's seen as the less defensively competent of the two, but seems to be deemed a Salah specialist. He's pocketed him the last 2 games he's played against Liverpool, so I don't know what's going on there, but Bueno might only get 1 start at best across the 2. And then I don't know if anyone's going for anybody else bar that in Wolves. Yeah. I think there's uncertainty over most positions apart from Neves and maybe Dawson. I think Collins v Kilman, you could argue. There's a whole host of options he's got up top. Like Podence could come back in for this. Sarabia can play across the right positions. Cunha could be partnered with Jimenez or Costa. So I would personally stay away from Wolves, given the fixtures are tough anyway.
It's good advice. They're very dangerous, Wolves. You always stay away from Wolves, kids.
Arsenal are...
Surely they're the safest, Arsenal. They're the safest. He's going to play this. He's not got any European football to worry about. He's going to
Well, he hasn't, but he has got another 3-game week coming up. And I think Martinelli and White come back in this weekend. Yeah. Or White was already back in for the Villa game. I think Martinelli's restored this time. The concern would be another 3-game week. And Arteta said that after the Villa match when he benched Martinelli. That wasn't nothing to do with form. It's to do with the fact that he's played pretty much every game this season, and they were coming off a Wednesday night, Saturday lunchtime turnaround following the Man City game. So Trossard is, even if he doesn't start, he's going to eat into Martinelli's minutes. There's no doubt about that. One way or the other, either off the bench or in place of him. And Saka's obviously your 90-minute man who you're looking towards. But whereas once upon a time we were absolutely sure who Arteta was going to pick every week, and that was the case up until game week 23. There is that little bit of doubt now about whether you're going to get 2 starts. And Martinelli, probably with Nketiah second, because Nketiah is sort of struggling for goals, and Trossard has played through the middle before, as has Martinelli. They will be my 2 concerns in attack. In defence, it would again be Ben White.
Yeah.
As a worry. Tomiyasu.
That was, although Tomiyasu didn't have a great game against City.
No, he didn't. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and final bonus slide is the promise before is Rashford news. So obviously not for this game week, but he's a player. We're all deciding who to take out from our United players to accommodate Liverpool, etc., etc. What's the news on Rashford?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a great deal in terms of concrete update from Ten Hag. So Man United are playing in the Carabao Cup final this weekend against the Giants of Newcastle United, who I might not be in work on Monday, Chris, if we win. So yes, Ten Hag gave an update in his press conference this afternoon. So this was based on what happened last night against Barcelona. We saw Rashford coming off late in the game. I thought it was a bit of a strange change to me because United were only 2-1 up, and if Barcelona had equalised, then they were going to extra time, and you were going to be without your star man in attack. But there was seemingly a reason for it, and Rashford went straight down the tunnel, I believe, and was pictured, I think, with a nice pack on his ankle, or certainly around the foot. And Ten Hag today has said he doesn't know if he's going to be fit for the final, so he might miss out. There's only 3 days turnaround between the two. But the good thing is, if you're keeping Rashford, and I certainly am, just benching him, is that we'll have not only the post-match pressure from Wembley, we'll have another one in midweek next week before the West Ham Cup game. So they're in FA Cup action before we get to game week 26. So there's 2 cup games to go before we get the next Saturday's deadline. So we'll have a lot more information, hopefully, from Ten Hag on Rashford. So unless you need the funds and you have to sell him this week, then just hang fire, I'd say, for now, and then we'll get a firmer update on him before we get round to game week 26. Okay.
Just want to say thanks for everyone's lovely comments in the stream. As someone did say to us, that predicted lineups feature is on the site. That's free for anyone to come into the site and use. So please do check that out. It has taken the Pepsi challenge against pretty much every other lineup and won continually. That is Neale's genius with a little bit of help, but it's mainly Neale. So great stuff there. Thank you so much for coming along. Please do like the stream. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed it. We will be back. I might not be back. We'll see. Everybody lets me back, but I do enjoy doing it. Once the stress has gone past. And due to popular demand, I'm going to end this stream with Gordon's alive! And on that note, we're done. Have a great day. Have a great game week. See you again. Cheers.
You, Lou. Bye bye.